What's up, guys? How are we doing today? It is announcement day again over here at eXp Realty. We are super excited every time we get to come to you guys with another one of these announcements. It's just one of those things that kind of reinvigorates you and gets you excited about what you're doing and some of the things that we're doing to really change the game in the real estate industry. Joined by a couple of my closest friends, Mr. Dan Beer, Mrs. Mary Simmons Maloney. We can make sure we get the whole name in there, Mary, right? Pretty important these days.
According to the DRE.
Yeah, DRE, in case you're watching, it's Mary Simmons Maloney. Okay, so we're good to go there. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Doing well, man. Just having fun. That's been the consistent answer since we got this whole thing started. But it's just been a total blast to have partners like you and people like who we're about to announce, man. So I'm glad to be here doing this.
Let's talk real quick before we bring our guest on today. We've all been in this now for about 6-7 months. Let's share our experiences so far. Mary, ladies first.
Well, I just can't even, I just wake up every day still just wishing I had done it sooner because it has just really been impactful in our business just here in the first 6 months. Being an indie brokerage, obviously the immediate benefits were, getting the bureaucracy and files and time suck out of my personal schedule, which has enabled me to concentrate more on my team, invest more in my clients, and really push the needle. But the truly biggest benefit has been the amazing sharing and just contributions that everyone in our up and our downline have been sharing. I know that is going to double, if not triple, our team's business next year. So these first 6 months have just been amazing.
I love it. What about for you, Dan?
Well, man, first things first, always take care of our core business, right? Your home team, our sales business, it's the key reason we came over. The prediction at the time when we came over was that because of the open sharing environment that's encouraged and just really, natural when you're literally financial partners with some of the best agents in the world, that we would gain access to an environment, energy, information, most importantly, that would allow us then, if implemented into our business, to grow. We have, that's definitely landed. We'll have grown by over $60 million in production this year alone over last year. And I think that's just, if I'm going to give myself any kudos or our team kudos, is that we've always been really intimately in tune with how we've gotten to this point from 10 million up through 200 something million, which will be our first $200 million this year. It's always been through relationships. It's always been through what we've learned and from who and how open they were willing to be. And man, I got to tell you that, yes, I had been able to find sharing in the past. That's how we got here. But the sharing is very different. It's not just like, oh, use this system, or hey, here's here's the basic outline and structure. It's like, okay, let's get on a screen share and here's step one. Good. Boom. Step two. Boom. Let's build it together. Let's go to a coffee shop. Let's get online, depending on where that partner is in the country. And it is at a depth that has been extremely meaningful to our bottom line. The team has grown. We've actually moved into a bigger space. So needless to say, we're enjoying it.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, the whole reason we're on today, we're ready to announce the next partner with the Fast Forward movement over at eXp. So I'm going to bring them on here. Please welcome to the group, Mr. John Fagan. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys all coming on, and glad to be here.
Well, welcome aboard. One of the things we talked about when we teased your announcement today is the fact that you ran an indie brokerage before coming over to eXp. So talk a little bit about why would you give up your own brokerage to join a brokerage, right? That seems weird to some people, right? The dream is like, I'm independent, I can do what I want when I want. Why would you give that up to come over to eXp?
Right. That was always the dream. It was always the plan when I first got in the business 14, 15 years ago. I've had my own indie brokerage for 7 years. And it was just me. I mean, it was a small indie brokerage, just me, but it was, like you said, it was doing your own thing, not answering to anybody except the DRE, of course. But And that was the one thing when I talked to people about, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? That was the only thing that they could come up with a negative, and I was the same boat. The only reason not to switch is because I had my own brokerage, and at the end of the day, that's just an ego saying not do this. But when I think about all the positives that eXp offers, and for long-term, for family, for exit strategy, training, all these things you guys talk about, and everyone that has moved over to eXp talks about, all makes sense. With the one thing of, well, you have your own brokerage, but so what? I'm looking for a better opportunity for myself, for my family, not just to say, hey, I have my own brokerage. That doesn't do anything for you at the end of the day, except be able to tell people you have your own brokerage. What's the benefit of that? So when there's more benefits at eXp, it just makes sense to do it.
So let's talk about what are maybe the 2 or 3 things that were most attractive for you to make the move?
Well, yeah. Going back to why you do it. I mean, you're an indie brokerage. Mary was the indie brokerage. And, when I saw you come over, obviously you've been so helpful in my business for the last 3 or 4 years, whatever it's been. I've talked to you after when I first Tom Ferry Summit that I had first seen you up on stage, and for you to take the time to talk to me and introduce me to Brian. So you talk about that sharing that you've offered to me just on a one-on-one basis, but now to have access to Dan Peter doing all these trainings and talking to people all over the country, and Mary who's doing the same. And then other people, Curtis Johnson, who just popped up there. I've seen his name. I feel like I know the guy, even though we've never met, because of just all the sharing he's doing in this group that you guys have put together, to be able to mastermind and learn from you guys. And Jay Kinder, I know he did an announcement on Friday with a group out in Alaska. That's another indie brokerage. And it's just crazy to see, wow, you can now have partners. I mean, I consider you guys partners, and that's what you guys always say. We're your partners. If you need help, if you need this, if you have questions. And that's just this group that we have here, not to mention all the training and whatnot that goes on at eXp directly. I know that's one of the big things they talk about is all the training they offer, and that no local brokerage can offer that kind of training. And, it's what, 10 to 15 classes a day. I got an email last night with the training schedule for the week, and there was 6 or 7 classes every day this week on a short week. And everything from new agents to experienced agents, to the tech that they offer, to farming, to virtual reality. I mean, all this kind of stuff that you can't just go down to your local brokerage or your local board and get. So the training was a real big one. And, that really hit it. But the tech that they offer too, KV Core, we haven't even touched on. I know SkySlope was something that you told someone in your brokerage to look into, like, hey, we want to get a new transaction management system. And SkySlope was, a huge expense. And now you get that with eXp. So the tech they're bringing, it's top of the line tech that they're bringing to all their agents. So it's stuff you just can't get.
Dude, there's a reason I call this thing our growth and mastermind group, right? Like that's what the thing is. So I'm super pumped up to have you in it.
Dan, talk a little bit about some of the additional stuff. So, right, eXp, 5-6 trainings a day, every day, tons of amazing stuff. But then within our group at eXp, the Fast Forward movement, talk about some of the additional things that we're doing to support the agents and help them grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I call it our growth and mastermind group is the power of this entire platform is how can we help agents grow their real estate business, all right? And that's what you're going to hear from us here. Like you're gonna get a lot of people that are gonna go yelling about all the other stuff and the revenue share and the stock, and it's all important. I just think that people are missing why it's important. It's okay. What we're doing every Wednesday, agents like this getting on within our group, doing a training, unpacking something that person is particularly expert at. You're talking about someone that's typically doing over $1 million in commission income per year, just genuinely going deep on everything that person does. Mary, for example, laid out, everything that's driven her multi-million-dollar commission income. I'm talking about, not sales volume, multi-million-dollar business through farming. And she rolled it out. Here's what I sent. Here's what it looks like. Here's why I do it. Here's the psychology behind it. Here's how I would prep it. Here's the schedule, everything. So when agents have access to something like that on a regular basis, agents like this on a daily basis within the group, agents across eXp countrywide, regardless of what group line or anything else they're in, everyone is a partner because we're all shareholders. It enables a ton of interaction. And now we're having masterminds on a quarterly basis in person. So it's a ton of fun. I want to hit on one big thing though, Kyle, if you don't mind. Look, as an outsider, I'm the only one here that was never indie, but I just think that really this entire indie conversation is just it's us showing how immature of an industry we are. Okay, that's in my opinion what this thing is. Here's a story for you, quick story. My financial advisor, her name is Stephanie. She called me one day and said, she was at Morgan Stanley, by the way, and she calls me one day and says, hey, I'm no longer going to be at Morgan Stanley. And here's the language she used. Check this out. She said, I'm going independent. I'm creating my own company. It's called Clear Sky Wealth. And I hope you'll come with me, Dan. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Transfer my accounts. And so now I'm at Clear Sky Wealth. Well, here's what I find interesting about the financial advisor world, which is a much more professional, mature, educated, just established industry than ours is, but we're both professional services. She said she was going independent. Here's what I found curious. Once I started to trade with her, my trades were clearing through Schwab, right? So Schwab was the clearinghouse. She could have also used LPL as her clearinghouse. So in her world, she's independent now because she's running her own payroll, her own brand, her own location. She's running her business. She's independent, though she's not crazy enough to clear her own deals and carry that liability. She's clearing through Schwab. I'm independent. I've been independent for years. I used to clear through Keller Williams. They were awesome. I'm now clearing through eXp, and they're awesome. All right. So what we are independent businesses. Okay. Last I saw, I'm not on eXp's payroll. I'm a 1099. I clear through their license because that particular activity carries liability and very little, if any, profit, typically no profit, and brokers, you know that. And I get to run my business. But I have my payroll, my brand, my look, my team members, our goals. We run our business. We clear through eXp. Does that make sense to you? Right? Like that is what our industry still hasn't wrapped its mind around. Right. Financial advisors, they completely get that. And because of that, guys, I really predict you're going to start to see, you're already seeing it, the beginnings of, you know how you always had to be a broker to be able to sell? That was one of the attractions of being a broker. You're going to start seeing what we used to call teams selling, because we're not even going to use that language anymore. We're not teams, we're businesses. You're going to start to see teams selling. And we're at the very beginning of that cycle because the brokerage component is just that. It's just a liability vehicle. Make sense? That's what I wanted to add to today's conversation.
Beautiful. See, I know, Dan, we just wind him up and then and away he goes.
I'm done. That's a big deal. Like that, our entire industry is going to start to think that way. We're just seeing it now. They'll see it later.
It really is. So, guys, if you're interested in talking to John, learning more about why he made this move, he'd love to set up a time to talk to you. Just hop on this site, john.fastforwardmovement.com, That connects directly with his calendar. And you can go ahead and set up a time to connect with him, learn a little bit more about why he made this move. Or if you're watching this, one of the other guests on here invited you to watch it. Feel free to connect with us on Facebook. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more about it. But it's a huge opportunity, guys. We would love to be in business with you, like we're going into business with John here. Tons of stuff. When you guys are hearing about eXp, there's a lot of people out there. All they're doing is talking about stock and revenue share and all of this other stuff. But for us and our group at eXp called the Fast Forward Movement, everything for us is built around selling more homes, because at the end of the day, we're still a real estate business. And so everything we do with our group is built around helping you sell more homes. So you've got live coaching and Q&As every single week. You've got live trainings every single week. And all around the country, we've got live masterminds happening on a weekly basis where you can get together with people like Dan and Mary and myself and learn what it is that we're doing in our businesses and pick our brains, because we know that if we help you sell more homes, that all that other stuff, the stock, the revenue share, that's going to come behind it. But we want to focus on those leading indicators. And those leading indicators or leading activities are the masterminding, the sharing, the training, the coaching. And that's really what we want to build on. So again, if that's something you guys want to learn more about, you want to connect with John, just hop on there, john.fastforwardmovement.com. John, I'm going to let you close this thing out. Any parting words for those that are watching today?
Yeah, just like you said, it's opportunity that just, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I think I've heard Dan say that a bunch of times. And I saw Jay Kinder on an announcement on Friday with an indie brokerage, but they had agents. They went and talked to their agents. All their agents were on board. And all of them, what they said on that call, though, was funny. It's like, what's the worst case scenario? You're just selling houses with another brokerage. That's the worst case. You're still doing the same deals you're doing now with another brokerage like eXp, except now you have your business has to increase with all this masterminding, with all this training. And if you do build up, stock or rev share, all those things, that's just a bonus. But worst case scenario is you're doing a better business because of all the masterminding and all the training. And so the opportunity is so great that like we talked about so many times, like I just couldn't put a hole in it. There was no reason not to move over except I had my own brokerage, which we all know, like, what's the point of, there's no reason to stay for just that one reason. Like Dan was talking about.
And you're still independent, right? Based on what I said.
Still independent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still run my business. I still learn from all you guys, and the logo changed. So
here's a question for you guys, Ed. If what I'm saying is correct, and I'm not making this thing up, right? I'm just making an observation from a more mature industry. If what I'm saying is correct, then is there a possibility that teams, businesses that don't broker their own deals, therefore don't carry that liability, and are typically far more profitable, is there a possibility that the game book, like the playbook, will literally flip and teams could be valued at a higher, like could have higher valuations and multiples than brokerages because we have less liability? And when you have less liability, there's less risk, and we can make the same money, more money. Is it possible that script could flip and we could actually have higher multiples someday in the future? Not yet, but someday. What do you think? Maybe not. You don't think so. Like, what do you think?
I'm trying to let Mary have some time on here. What do you think, Mary?
Well, I think it's definitely possible. We've already started to see teams across the country. I mean, teams produce 17% or 17 times more than an individual agent. I can't remember that exact statistic, but for us as indies, we didn't have to give up anything that made us independent. Our culture is the same. Our whys are the same. Our look, our feel, our brand is the same. Our value proposition to our consumer is the same. Like you said, we're just clearing through a different brokerage, but you take away, it truly makes sense from a logical standpoint, what Dan is saying. You take away liability, you take away expenses, that P&L gets way more attractive. And, we were I personally was just at a mastermind last week with one of the biggest institutional buyers of homes in the country. And his exact presentation was on what Dan just said.
Really?
Businesses are going to be buying profit. That's the bottom line. This company owns 8,000 single family rentals in the United States, and they are trading on profit. And the more that we can become profitable in our businesses, that's attractive to someone else to come and buy us. So I think you're right. I think you're spot on.
And by the way, look at what a beautiful house you have. Look at that. Look at that box beam scaling. Look at that wainscoting.
You're kind.
All right, guys, we're going to finish up here today. Again, if you want to get connected with John, just go to john.fastforwardmovement.com, john.fastforwardmovement.com. That'll connect directly with his calendar, or just shoot any of us that are here today. Just shoot us a message on Facebook. We'd love to connect. We'd love to share the.
Not just
so
John.
Excited to have John.
Sorry, go ahead, Mary. What's that?
No, I was just saying, I'm just so excited to have John in our mastermind. I look forward to him sharing. I know he does an incredible business, and it's super exciting. And if you've just been thinking, just connect with John and reach out and just explore.
And anything you need from me, John, it's yours. If you need something from my operations team, or my sales director, anything we can do in our business to help your business grow, just shoot a word.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
All right, man.